All right. So a lot of you don't know me. This is a brand new YouTube channel, so no one's even no one even knows who I am. Uh, my testimony. Well, obviously, you're reading this video. Let me start over. You're coming to this video for a reason. You clicked on it. The name of it is my testimony. Um, my testimony. It's not really the same as a lot of people's testimonies. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I died. I went to heaven or hell." They share their whole experience. And mine was very similar, yes, but I didn't die. Um, I didn't want to die. Uh, so it's just very different. I don't believe mine was a well, actually, I can't say that. Okay. I was gonna say I don't believe mine was like a saving, but it had to be, because if I would have kept going down that track, it would have been, my life would be completely different. I would still be down the wrong path, and I wouldn't have learned anything. So, um, before I hop straight into like this whole thing, I need to let you know a little bit about my life. I'm not gonna say my name because that really doesn't matter right now. But all that matters is the message. So I asked the Holy Spirit. I prayed before this. I asked the Holy Spirit that you allow me to get this off the best way I can to help the most people possible. So we're gonna start. I was born in the middle of the U.S., Oklahoma. Preteens. I grew up. Well, I was born in Oklahoma. Moved to NC when I was, I want to say like 1 or 2 years old. I don't remember anything in Oklahoma, obviously. My memory really didn't come into, or my consciousness really didn't come into this world until about, I want to say 5 or 6 maybe years old. Somewhere around there. I lived in Cary at the time. I want to say it started off with just me, just living life, not doing anything right before preschool. Um, I did start off with demonic experiences. I used to have nightmares, sleep paralysis. Um, I grew up bullied. I wasn't necessarily, I didn't necessarily start off in church, but I was raised in a church. I want to say from the age of like around 8 years old. Um, I was brought into the church. My grandpa was a pastor. He owned a church actually, but I wasn't a church baby, if that makes sense. I wasn't, going to church every Sunday as soon as I started being aware of life. But my mom was a minister, and when she started ministering, I did go to church every week. And that lasted for quite some time. I used to pray a lot, almost every day, but it wasn't really for the main reason I pray now. It was really because I got bad grades. I didn't want to get whoopings or spankings or whatever, but it's quite different now. Um, what else? What else? Both my parents were in my life, thank God. Um, my mom and dad were really good parents. I can't complain anywhere on that aspect. I think that's really it about early childhood. But yeah, as far as the demonic stuff, yeah, I used to have like nightmares, sleep paralysis. I had stage fright. Um, I was nervous. I mean, that's about it as far as crazy stuff that went on. The as far as church, I'm sorry, I'm having a rough time like gathering all my thoughts together for this, but I hope that you can bear with me for it. The message is really important. But yeah, I was raised in a Christian household. All my parents were Christian. This is also my second time recording this, by the way. The first time I recorded it, it was nice, but I didn't reach all the points I wanted to, so I decided I was going to re-record it. And also, I got pretty emotional, so I didn't want to overwhelm me with my emotion, and just it was pretty much an hour and a half of me talking, but I didn't finish my message, and I still needed a part two, so I just decided to re-record it. But middle school, um, I was doing good. Wasn't really too much to it. I used to go to church. I think I stopped going to church in middle school. Um, really, cause my mom stopped making me. But that's when social media started. Facebook was a big thing. I started getting on social media. I didn't have a phone, so I took my dad's old phone. I used to get on that, which I really shouldn't have done. I wish I would have never did that, but that started the social media thing. I What else? What else? What else? Actually, no, I changed my mind. No, social media didn't start till high school, but in middle school, I lived a pretty normal life. I was bullied growing up. Um, I started getting bullied in elementary school, really, but it carried on to middle school, and it didn't really stop until high school or end of middle school. I was still getting bullied every now and then, but it wasn't like a bully. It was more like people name calling and stuff like that. It was just stuff that hurt me, but in a sense, it wasn't persistent. So, um, hmm. But yeah, I was raised pretty well. I never thought I needed help just because I assumed I could do everything on my own. I was a very intelligent young man. I did well in everything I did. I was always told I was going to do well. I was always told I was gifted beyond my average standards, so that lifted my ego pretty high, I guess. Um, but yeah, in high school, that's where my life really started picking up. I started doing drugs. Well, not in high school. I tried weed for the first time in high school, but I didn't start smoking actively until after. Um, I dealt with porn addiction. Um, I started straying away from the religion, and my grades started falling off. Like I was barely passing just to get through school. I didn't feel like school was for me at all. So I slowly started forgetting about God. Um, what was it? The dreams were still active, but it wasn't like a persistent thing like when I was a kid. It was more like every now and then I would have weird dreams or dreams or I would wake up screaming. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. Um, like when I was a kid or like before I had my breakthrough. Um, I always dealt with depression since my first breakup, anxiety, um, about the past or the future. My life was really self-centered, even though I wasn't trying to be. It wasn't me actively only caring about myself. I actually did the opposite. I only cared for everyone else except myself, which was what made my life self-centered. If that makes sense. Um, I cared so much about other people that I was willing to put so much work towards myself to help others, if that makes sense. Which is a really backwards way of looking at it. Well, I mean, it makes sense to look at it like that, but my energy wasn't put in the right places. I'll just put it that way. Um, yeah. So, um, leading into my stories about God and how God ties into all of this, because right now it doesn't seem like that. But I started off in the church. I used to pray a lot. Um, I slowly started forgetting about God because I used to be a very curious child. Even though I grew up in the church, I would always question it. Like, I'd be like, I remember one day in church, I randomly asked, I was like, how is God allowed to kill people? But we can't. It didn't make sense to me. It's not like I wanted to kill people. It just didn't, it just, God seemed like a hypocrite at that point. You know what I mean? But the same way I see now, like the same way your parents tell you not to, your parents tell you not to run out in the middle of the street, even though, they can walk out in the middle of the street, no problem. It's not just because you're not necessarily supposed to, it's just they know what's best for you. And at the end of the day, you're not supposed to just go running out in the street. There's certain things, like I wouldn't kill someone just to kill someone. It might be in self-defense, but we're not making excuses to kill people. So, but yeah, I started questioning my religion, my faith, really the little faith I had as a child. There's really nothing to really. Of course, you always heard the preacher, say have faith, but you don't really know what that means as a young kid. You just kind of, oh yeah, have faith. Like I had faith, but like it wasn't. It got misguided. I'll put it that way. So I started questioning God, which eventually led to me switching my religion. Instead of Christianity, I switched over to atheist, actually, because I didn't know if God existed or not. Like there was essentially no proof for me being a small child, and I guess forgetting how privileged I was being raised in the U.S., being in a household with pretty much anything I wanted. Um, but yeah, I switched to that. And that also sparked something in me to search for the truth, not knowing the truth was right in front of me the whole time. So I started looking into other religions. I started looking into other knowledge, other stuff like that. And I'm in middle school at this point. I wasn't heavy into the research, but I was definitely not reading my Bible the way I should have been, or reading my Bible in general. So what else? What else? Jesus, help me out, help me out. Okay. So yeah, I went from an atheist. I remember one day, as soon as I switched my religion, actually, I changed. I started drawing, like I was listening to Odd Future and stuff like that, and I started drawing upside down crosses and stuff on my book bag, on other stuff, which I'm pretty sure, looking back at it, that I was demon possessed by something. And don't get me wrong, I still need deliverance right now. I'm searching for someone to give me that. But it was. Here's what makes me think I was possessed. I was actually. I used to draw upside down crosses on my book bag, and I drew one. And one day my dad came and he saw it and he's like, "Do you know what this means?" And I'm like, "Yeah, of course I do. It's the opposite of God. You know what I mean?" And he grounded me. He's like, because at the time I knew what it meant, but I didn't understand what it meant. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was there, but I didn't know anything. I was just a kid. So he grounded me. He put me in my room, which he always did. I don't blame him, but grounded me. He talked to me. He's like, "Hey, don't do this. It's bad." Stuff like that. He didn't really tell me why. I guess he didn't understand either, so I can't blame him. But I ended up trying to change it, And when I tried to change it, I didn't understand. I didn't even know this, but it was apparently I drew a line at the top of the cross, not at the top, but there was a line. It looked like a normal upside down cross. Yeah, I did. I drew a line at the top and in the middle, not knowing that that was an occult symbol for something. I think it's some type of cross for like, I don't want to say masonry or something else, but it's some type of cross that is on the other side of God, you know what I mean? So, and I didn't even know that. I just kind of drew it out of instinct, trying to hide the upside down cross, but still not include the regular cross. Like, I kind of made my own type of symbol type of thing, and not knowing it's still against God. I just, it's just crazy. But yeah, I did that. He was like, "Yeah, you can't hide it from me. Stop, take that off your book bag." So I took it off. Um, Eventually, my religious views switched. I switched from atheist to agnostic because I just had no clue. Like, I just told myself, I don't know. I don't know anything. If God exists, um, I pray He show Him to me. He show Himself. But until then, I'm just agnostic. I don't know. Um, of course, I prayed that He reveal Himself, and eventually He did. I didn't realize He would, like, especially the way He did it. But um, yeah, ended up switching from agnostic to I think I stayed agnostic up until middle of high school. I ended up switching, and I called myself. I didn't know what I was, but I knew there was a God. So I knew there was a God, um, but I just didn't know what God, if that made sense. I assumed there was one. He was obviously above all, but I didn't know if it was the Hindu God. I didn't know if it was a Buddhist God. I didn't know if it was a Catholic God or a Christian God. I just assumed it was a God, and that was it. So as I started doing that, I started also studying like meditation a little bit, astrology a little bit. Um, Started dealing with stuff like that. Still barely passing school. Um, I still wasn't heavy on it. I was just hearing about other things and kind of doing my own thing in school. While all this is going on, I'm steady trying to get a career going. Um, it started off as me just uh, playing video games. I wanted to be a part of FaZe Clan or whatever, doing all that stuff, which I was really close at one point. Keep in mind, while I'm doing my religious journeys, none of my career paths would let me reach the goal I was trying to get to. And I believe that was mainly because once I reached that point, I would not listen to anyone. I would just be stuck in my own world at that point. And I think God knew that and wanted to keep me wanted to keep me contained without letting me get loose and just kind of forget about Him completely. Like, I don't think He would let that happen. So, yeah, I tried to be in phase. It was like every time I got very close to actually accomplishing my goal of doing the career path that I felt like I needed to do at the moment, boom, I got set back. Like every time, like I was right there, like an inch away, and then it would boom, reset, boom, reset. So I'm used to starting over and over and over, and I knowing this, it I don't want to say it, I mean, it kind of fed my ego a little bit more because I realized I could do literally anything I wanted. I just had to grind and do it, but not understanding you can't really do it without God at the end of the day. Yeah, you can do it. You can talk to the devil, you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you can only do it with God. You can only fully feel accomplished with Jesus Christ. I just want to put that out there. But so yeah, I tried to do that. I ended up getting grounded. I got an F on one of my grades. Got set back again. I got grounded for the whole summer, so I couldn't be a gaming pro or a trick shot pro like I wanted. For those of you that know what trick shotting is, it's like some stuff in video games where you know, it's almost the same as basketball trick shots, but we did that in Call of Duty. So yeah, I used to do that. After that, I tried editing. I used to edit videos, and I used to do that for quite a bit. I still do now to this day, but it was different back then. I started knowing some people, doing my own thing. Um, I was doing Photoshop at the time. I was doing a lot. Like I was very talented especially for my age, like around like 14 to 18. I was doing all this different stuff, but I wasn't really going anywhere. I was just kind of running in this, almost like a hamster wheel, just running in circles, and I didn't know why. But yeah, I was doing that. Um, After high school, I want to say I really picked up the editing a bit more. I was doing that a lot. I also picked up weed, which wasn't healthy at all. I started smoking every day. I'm not gonna say who got me into smoking, but yeah, I was doing that. Um, I wanna I wanna share this because I still do need deliverance from it. But this was around the time I was going on and off believing in God or not. So I believed in a God. Or at least I said that, but I didn't know if I actually, understood what, like, if there's a God, there must be a Satan or an evil force opposing to God. So I didn't really understand that. And so I ended up doing like this succubus thing I read online, because I was just a horny teenager trying to, get some stuff off, not realizing that letting demons, into your life willingly is never a good idea. And I did a little like ritual or whatever, and I thought nothing of it because nothing happened at first. I was expecting, like wet dreams and all this other stuff, which believe me, they did come. Um, More recently than anything else. I don't deal with them anymore because I've turned back to Jesus. But yeah, I just thought it was crazy that I even tried that. I wish I never did. I was doing weed. I did tried LSD a couple times. Tried Xans. I think those are the only drugs I tried. But yeah, um, I tried I tried Xans for like I tried them like twice, but I knew the risks that came with Xans, so I didn't wanna dive into that at all. To be honest with you, I knew that if I got addicted, like it was weed, that I wouldn't be able to stop. And this was around the time everyone was showing off Xans. I think Lil Peep was doing Xans, Xanarchy, all that stuff. And yeah, it was just a crazy time. I also started, let's see, falling in love with like materialistic things. Um, Started looking up a bunch of like occult knowledge, quote unquote, which is really just Bible verses miscued into other stuff. I'm not gonna get into that because that's not what this video is about. But astrology, crystals, meditation, all that stuff, which essentially it was working. Because don't get me wrong, demon stuff does work, but not in the way you expect it to. It's more like instant gratification type of stuff. that doesn't really do the job that Jesus does. I'm gonna just put it that way. I started dealing with like dreams of people chasing me, stuff like that, which is really, I think I had a Python spirit over my life now that I look at it. Like literally my whole life. The only job was it drained me, and then Jesus freed me again. So I think it was put there to show me a lesson, not necessarily um not necessarily to, you know what I'm saying, try to drag me to hell. I mean, of course that's what it's going to try to do, but I think God allowed it into my life to turn me into the greatest version of myself that I can be, honestly. Um, but yeah, I was always learning. I had trouble in school anyway, so like once I got out of school, I was like, oh, thank God, I'm done with school. I can start focusing on myself. So I start editing. Um, start doing that for a long time. I'm grinding, doing my thing. I hit a viral video. I start talking to the right people. I'm talking to a big couple big editors. All the editor guys know who I am. They know my name. I'm making a name for myself, and I'm not exactly sure what happened. I just completely lost interest in editing, like in general. Just everything just came to a stop as soon as I was on the edge again, about to, start making a living for myself, and I actually wanted to pursue my dreams. I just lost all interest in everything and just fell into like, excuse me, I guess personal stuff. Um, I needed bills to pay. My mom ended up surprising me with a car for one of my birthdays, and I think that's what sparked it off. I moved out as soon as I was 18. Like I was just ready to go. I was sick of being under authority, you know what I'm saying, which is every rebellious teen's mindset, when they have strict parents, which is it's understandable, but at the same time, like you need time to grow. So like, yeah, I moved out. I was living with my friends at the time. My mom surprised me with a car. I think I moved out without a car, which is actually one of the crazy things. And yeah, I was going without a car. My mom was taking me to work anyway, but I lived like 5 minutes from my mom, so it wasn't really a huge deal. I just wanted to pay my own bills, I guess. And well, actually, I think I stayed like 15 minutes away, but yeah, it wasn't a big of a deal. My mom ended up moving closer to me, like 5 minutes away, I guess, because she wanted to be near me, so she knew I was safe. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I ended up doing that. I got in a car accident. It wasn't even just a regular car accident. It was just me being stupid, uh, trying to drift a front wheel drive car. It was a little Honda. Don't even ask. But yeah, that set me back a lot. I think that's when I lost interest in editing. Um, I started getting into music, which understanding how demonic a lot of the music industry is set up to be, it's no surprise that I got into music right after, or specifically anyway. I always had an ear for music. I always had a sight for good arts, stuff like that. Very talented, like I said. It was just my talents were pointed in the wrong direction. So, I'm still dealing with crystals, all that stuff. I got reset again with the car accident. It ended up making me have to work more, so I had less time to edit. I started doing music, which was a lot easier because I could do it on the go. I could make up rhymes, anywhere. I started doing that. I'm working a full-time job, which was really supposed to be part-time, but it's full-time now. I didn't care about work because I was focused on my passions, because I'm like, oh, if I just keep grinding, any day now I can make a career for myself. And because it was really like me having faith in God without knowing God. And that just talks about a lot, because it's like you can believe there is a God all day, but if you don't have faith, and if you don't you don't know God in a personal relationship at all, you can't really go anywhere in life. I mean, you can, with the special help of other people, but you yourself are not doing anything. You're getting carried by unknown forces you don't even know about. Because, like the Bible says, this world is based off the 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 spiritual realm. It's not something that just works on its own. So, yeah, I had a very weak prayer life. I didn't even pray. I barely prayed. I think I honestly went a whole year without praying. I may have prayed, like, God, please do this. God, please. It was more demanding than praying. Um, Still doing weed every day. Don't ask me how I managed to do weed every day and still be broke. I guess I wasn't broke. I guess I was just lost, to be honest. Yeah, I was drinking. I always wanted to party. I was always like trying to interact with people, trying to have a nice time. I was still trying to help everyone around me without helping myself, which is never good. Um, that never really leads anywhere but you hurting people without realizing you're hurting people. And I wish someone would have told me that sooner. But still dealing with depression, still anxious, anxiety, always focused on the past and the future. Um, I was, I know this was I was being helped by demonic forces because I had such an insight on like future events, people's intentions, stuff like that, but I didn't know God at all. So it was like I could tell either it was demonic forces or the Holy Spirit was really inside of me this whole time. I forgot to mention, when I was in church at a young age, my mom was a minister, and I'm pretty sure she anointed me. She did like the cross on my forehead type thing. I said the Lord's Prayer every day. I believed in Jesus Christ as my Savior. So that honestly, I believe if I never would have done that, I probably would be in a ditch somewhere dead. Not gonna cap. Um, I definitely don't think I would be alive. I think I would have gone down the wrong path, most certainly, because I'd still be doing music. I definitely would have succeeded at music. I know that for a fact. The only reason I stopped doing music was because I got too scared that I was going to get all this fame and fortune and then mislead a bunch of people into the wrong path. And that right there alone shows me that I had good intentions and I had, someone watching over me for a fact. And I believe that someone was the Holy Spirit. So, uh, but anyways, I got in a car accident. It reset me. I started doing music. Um, and as I'm working on music, I'm dealing with crystals, all that stuff, which was giving me what I wanted in small bits and pieces, blessings disguise or traps disguised as blessings, I should say. And it really wasn't doing it. It just wasn't doing it. I moved out. I ended up moving back in with my mom after I got in the car accident because I couldn't pay rent. I didn't have a way to work. My whole life pretty much just reset again, and I had nowhere to go, nowhere else to go. So I ended up moving out. Um, I think I was trying to stay, but it really wasn't a good idea for me to stay. On top of that, I think I had cats that I needed to get rid of. The cats ended up getting me kicked out too. So I was really in a position where I had to leave, but I needed to leave. Like, that's why I said my whole story was pretty much carefully guided. That's why I think it was never really a testimony in a way that most people get saved. I just think I was saved from the beginning and I was being put through all this. One, because I needed to learn what I needed to learn about the world and how other people think in order to help other people. And two, my own disobedience for a fact led me in those situations. So yeah, it put me there. I'm back with my mom. I started picking up editing again as a way to kind of boost my music up. I assumed I would so I started editing, doing AMV stuff like that. And I was good at it. You know, I had a viral video I think I got another it was my first viral video. Like sure I had videos with maybe like 20,000 views, 10,000 views every now and then. But this video, if I would have kept it up to this date, would have had over close to 3 million. Um, I took it down. I think it's private, just in case I still want to reminisce on the bad days, but and remind myself like what I walked away from. But I took it down at 2 million views. So it was a really good video. You probably saw it if you're a fan of these music guys in anime. But I'm not gonna list the video because I personally don't care. The message behind the video was kind of demonic in itself, so I don't even want to give it that much attention. But yeah, I still had a roadmap for myself. Of course, I wasn't gonna fulfill that roadmap because God wouldn't let me do that, and I'm glad He didn't. Like I said, but yeah, I ended up doing all that stuff. Oh, wow, it's been 40 minutes already. But as I'm doing this, I got into music. Or I'm still doing music, still working on the videos, and I'm playing video games. So I'm doing like all three at the same time, trying to mash all this stuff into like one thing, doing all my hobbies. I'm creating t-shirts. I'm just pushing out all this business stuff, materialistic stuff, trying to blow up, trying to get successful, trying to get famous. And none of it was working. None of it was bad. All good content. Like if I brought that content out to someone like, famous already, they would make millions. They would make trillions off of it, which honestly I think a few people have saw my work and they just stole from it, but I'm not going to go into that. I don't care. I'm glad I didn't get the fame from it cuz it was demonic in itself. But like, well, not demonic. It just it wasn't my time. So still doing weed, still doing that stuff. I end up moving out again, back in with my same roommate, or no, with a friend of mine, old friend of mine from high school. Um, he was a really good friend. I never hated on him or nothing, but my transmission on my car ended up going out, which stopped me from paying rent right when COVID started. Um, it put me in a situation where I couldn't work for a little bit, and it ended up messing up my whole income because I was living paycheck to paycheck. This whole time I'm living paycheck to paycheck, by the way. I was never in a solid situation besides like maybe a month or so after tax time. I would be chill for a little bit, but I guess those would be the points in my life where I'd hit like a little high point where I would think I was going to get the fame or whatever I needed before getting reset again. So, yeah, my transmission went out on my car, and I ended up, let me see what my battery's at. I'm good. I ended up not being able to pay rent, all that stuff. Um, thank God COVID had just started, because we were late on like a month or two anyway, and they passed a law where we didn't have to pay rent, or we couldn't get evicted if we were late on rent. So we took advantage of that, which I think that's what set me back even more, because I thought I could just wait it out and pay it back in a bit, which was a bad mindset. But yeah, I ended up being late on rent, like $2,000 something dollars, and I ended up having to pay it within like 3 weeks, I believe. I had 3 weeks to pay $2,000, and I just want to say thank God I worked at a pizza place that did delivery. I was a delivery driver, and if you know about those jobs, you can make a ton of money as long as you work the hours. And we were right in the middle of the city, so I had like a good position on life to really make as much money as I can. I ended up making like I think like $1,600, and my mom ended up paying like the rest, like 500 or something. I can't remember exactly, but she helped me out, and I ended up paying back the rent. Whole time my roommate's thinking he's gonna get kicked out. I'm like, no man, I got you. Watch, I got you. Don't worry. I ended up paying it off. He didn't care and stayed mad at me for some reason. I think something was wrong with him. Keep in time, this whole time we were doing shrooms. We started doing shrooms and stuff like that. He ended up, it was like his personality changed after he did shrooms. I'm not going to go into that, but he turned into a different person for me. So, and tried to like hustle me out of some money before he left, or we moved out, or at least ended up ending. I moved out early because I didn't want to deal with it anymore. And he was just crazy. He was acting crazy. So we ended up going our separate ways. I moved back in with my original spot I moved out of before I moved into the apartment. That was an apartment with my roommate, by the way. But yeah, I moved out, got back into that house. And I want to say this is really where the supernatural stuff started kicking into overdrive. Of course, I was dealing with crystals when I was in the apartment and stuff, and like doing all this knowledge, searching for the truth. And I want to say this is where I started getting into spirituality, like meditation and all that stuff. And I believed this is where I knew for a fact there was a God, but I didn't understand that if there's God, there must be an opposite force. Like, there has to be. Like, that a God without an opposite force just doesn't make any sense unless he's keeping the opposite force from doing that. But I mean, I didn't understand how demonic stuff was. I just thought it was like, oh, one God, all love, all peace, no one's here to hurt you. It's just a fairy tale, you know what I mean? Just a playground land. And I guess, in a sense, that's true, but it takes the Holy Spirit to really do that. And you still have rules and regulations and opposing forces, but I didn't understand the deepness of it all. I was just kind of living like like there was no consequences for my actions, you know what I mean? I wasn't necessarily a bad person. I was just living reckless and not caring. I always treated people good, but I didn't care for myself enough. So, still smoking weed every day, still drinking whenever I wanted to. I stopped doing LSD because I think I've only done it like a handful of times, because after like the second time of me trying it, every time I tried it, I would throw up or dry heave or vomit profusely after like the second or third hour. So I just stopped altogether. It's really cold in here. Sorry if my voice is shaky, but yeah, I stopped doing that. Let's see. That's really the base of it. I was smoking weed every single day, heavy. It was really like from the time I woke up to the time I went to sleep, I was smoking weed. And I was having dreams and visions and stuff, but it wasn't. I would get fear out of the fears or the dreams and visions sometimes, so I knew it wasn't from God all the time. But if you know, if it's from God, you will not feel fear at all. Like it could probably be the most horrific thing, but you would not feel fear. And that's the type of dreams I kind of get now. It could be like some crazy stuff, but I don't fear it. You know what I'm saying? I don't get scared anymore because I know it's from God and I know He's trying to tell me something. But God doesn't give nightmares; the devil does. But yeah, nightmares started coming back. I started getting even more depressed. Like I was feeling dreadful. Like um, I was. I always talk to myself. I've been talking to myself my whole life. I still do, which is why I think I'm not. Every time I'm talking to myself, I'm not necessarily talking to myself. I think God's listening or the Holy Spirit's listening, and I talk to it sometimes. It talks back to me. But I'd also think that it let me deal with the demons per se, just so I could understand that what I'm doing isn't right. So yeah, um, I would start hearing stuff, not necessarily voices yet. It was more so like just little stuff, um, maybe like a little whisper, like my name or something. But I honestly think I was too scared to do anything. If it were to manifest any further, I think I would have turned to God immediately, to be honest. So I think they just kept it to a minimum. Um, yeah. Um, okay. So now I'm going to get to my actual breakthrough. And keep in mind, when I did all this, or when I was doing all this, I said I didn't believe in time. I'm not sure what caused me to say that. I guess because of my knowledge in my brain, assuming that I knew everything. And I thought I was perfect, you know what I'm saying? I thought I couldn't do anything wrong. You know, I'm a good person, so therefore, as long as I'm doing my best, you know, I can't do anything wrong. I don't sin, obviously. That's what I thought. But, you know, you can think you're perfect, you can do everything in your power, but you're still a human being. You still sin regardless. You still do negative things, you still do bad things, even though they're not on purpose. You're still doing them. So, and you can fix that. You can't, obviously you won't be perfect, but you can minimize that down to a T. And where was I? I lost my train of thought for 2 seconds. Holy Spirit, help me, help me, help me, help me. Yeah, I was smoking weed every day. I thought I was perfect. I thought I was doing everything right. I thought I went through like my Kanye phase. At the point I thought I was literally a god, not the sense of the God. Actually, I did think that for a little bit. Not. I don't want to say the God of everything because I didn't know everything, but I thought I was a God in the making, like literally turning into God. But um, I thought I was a God, little G. You know what I'm saying? Doing my thing. I'm smoking weed one day, and this is why I say me not believing in time had a part of my life, because I did pray to God one day. I can't remember when this was. I think it was when I was agnostic. But I prayed to God one day and I'm like, hey, God, if you are real, I need you to show me you are real in a way I can understand. And from that point on, He played out the most, like the best movie of my life, I could say. And it was a perfect way that I could understand. It was like so it started there. As I was smoking weed, I got this feeling of like it was the same day. Keep in mind, I'm dealing with paranoia. I'm dealing with like just paranoia, just everything's not going right. Nothing's going right in my life. I had this succubus on me I didn't even know was on me, wiping my dreams. Like I couldn't remember half my dreams, which I don't think was the weed. Weed could have had a part of it, but like that was definitely like the lowest point of my life. Like nothing was working. I couldn't do anything right. I was trying so much to help everyone, not realizing I'm the one that's broken. Um, but I had the sense smoking the weed the same day I went to the hospital. Um, I was smoking the weed, um, and I got this feeling of like, oh, I'm back on this planet again. This is awful. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is why I say I didn't believe in time, but God showed me, also said I didn't want to die when he showed me. Like, I told him I wanted to have a near death experience without dying. And that's what he gave to me. So I got this feeling of like, oh, I'm back on earth again. But this sucks. Like this whole earth experience sucks. I want to be like in heaven. Like I want to be somewhere better. I know there's somewhere better than this. Like I don't want to be here. And I got that feeling, and that feeling lasted like a few hours, like hours. And then, you know, I had this feeling of like, okay, I'm just chilling. I didn't feel like me. I felt like a spirit, if that makes sense. I didn't feel like I can't say my name because I don't want to say it yet. Maybe I'll say it if people start asking me questions later on down the road. But right now, my identity doesn't matter. I'm just here to share my testimony. And I was I rolled up a blunt. I smoked like half the blunt, and I went outside to go smoke um, on the back porch. I ended up taking like a hit, two hits, and I'm watching this person on my YouTube, and this is how I know I think God was orchestrating this whole thing. Is I was listening to someone on YouTube, and as I was listening to the person on YouTube, this is the craziest thing in the world, bro. Like I'm listening to them, and I don't know if you guys know who Daylight is. He's a battle rapper, but he also preaches on a lot of like conspiracy theories and stuff like that, which aren't really conspiracies. Some of them are actually very true. But I'm listening to him. I'm not sure what his religious views on God are right now, but I can tell he's very intelligent, and I hope God speaks to him the same way he spoke to me. Not the exact same way, but in a way he can understand. But I was listening to him, and he said, "All right, you're about to witness something that only happens once every few hundred thousands of years, or that happens very rarely." And as soon as he said that, I felt like this whoosh over my body, and like it was like spinning. It was weird. It was like, what I look at it now, it's like literally like Jesus touched me or something. It was crazy like to think about. But like I experienced that whoosh over my body, and then I felt the sensation as if I was about to pass out. Keep in mind, I have never passed out in my entire life from recollection, like never. I said that, like I went confidently in life saying I have never passed out. Besides doing, I don't know if you guys remember the pass out challenge that was viral like in 2018 or something like that, where you like get on your knee or bend down and start doing breath exercises, and then you stand up and you pass out. Don't do that, by the way. That's very dangerous. Some kid actually ended up dying, I think, because of that. But yeah, I that's the only recollection I knew of what passing out felt like. And yeah, I never passed out before. And I took a hit of weed, felt that whoosh over my body, heard that from Daylight at the same time, felt the whoosh over my body, and then I felt like I had to pass out. So I ran to my room. I don't even know what happened to the blunt I was smoking, by the way. I could have threw that outside and it could have lit the whole house on fire. I wouldn't have known. But um yeah, I ran inside. Wasn't even sure if I locked the door. I think I just shut it really hard. Ran inside, ran to my bed, and as I'm running to my bed, like boom, lights out. Like everything went pitch black. Um And it didn't feel like a normal pitch black, like when you how you are when you're sleeping. It felt like, Holy Spirit, please help me. I'm having trouble. It kind of felt like it was like I was somewhere else. It's very hard to explain. I did like it went pitch black. It felt like I don't even know. Like it just felt like I was somewhere else, and I don't know how to explain it. But yeah. After that happened, I ended up wake. I didn't even wake up normally. I woke up to my mom calling my cell phone, and she answered. I think it was a FaceTime. I was still laying in bed. You can ask my mom. um, Maybe when you find out who I am, if this like gets enough people to view it. Um, I don't care how many people this testimony reaches, as long as it reaches a few people, I'm okay with that. But my mom calls me and she's like, "Hey, is everything okay?" Like I guess she just got this feeling over her that told her to call me. She's like, "Just checking on you." She checks on me frequently, but like this time it felt a little different, and I'm just like, I don't know what's wrong. Something's off. Like something's wrong. Like I didn't know how to put it into words, but I'm like something's off. Not realizing like I'm on my pathway to hell. You know what I'm saying? Like this isn't the way I'm supposed to be going. I'm not supposed to be living like this. And yeah, I'm just like something's wrong. Something's wrong. And she's like, "You want me to come over?" I'm like, "Yes, yeah, come over." And so she's like, "All right, I'll be there in 15 minutes or 5 minutes, whatever." She's living with her boyfriend at the time, and yeah, as she's on her way over there, I just got up. I sat down on the couch. There was a couch in my room. I just sat there. I was lost, like in the head. Like I didn't even know really what was really happening. I was just kind of sitting there, no emotion. It was kind of just like I literally just felt lost. Like I wasn't sure what was going on, and I'm not on my phone. I'm not looking at social media. I don't think. I'm just kind of, if I am looking at social media, I'm not even, like, I don't remember. So it's not even like, I felt like I was just sitting there. And she comes in, she walks in the front door. Um, we walk in my room. Didn't even get to shut the door. My mom sits down. She's like, "Tell me what's wrong." And I'm like, I just start crying. Um, and if you know me, you know I'm not emotional whatsoever. I don't cry. Like last time I cried um, was like 2 years ago. And then before that, I didn't cry since I was like in middle school, bro. Like I don't cry. So like for her to see, I mean, this isn't just normal crying. This is me breaking down, like me actually weeping. And I don't do that. I barely do that now. Only time I do that now is when I talk to Jesus or the Holy Spirit. And which is honestly surprising to me because I still don't cry over anything, but like I only cry for Jesus, to be honest. But thank God. But I just started breaking down, and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna pray for you." And she's well, she first at first she asked me, she's like, "Do you still believe in a God, right?" And I'm like, "Yes." I was hesitant. I guess that was the demon inside me, because I honestly think I was trying to get possessed by something. But I hesitated, but I was like, "Yes, yeah, yeah, I do." And she was like, "Okay, you still believe Jesus died on the cross for you, right? You remember you said that when you were a kid?" And I'm like, "Yes, yes, I do." And she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna pray for you." And she prayed for me. As she's praying for me, I'm still crying. You know what I'm saying? Um, she starts speaking in tongues, doing all this stuff, and I'm just crying. And she's like, "All right, you feel better." I did feel better after she did that, which is wild. I'm not sure, like, Only God really knows what really happened there. I think she delivered me, to be honest, and I think the demons are slowly being cast out of me. But I'm gonna get delivered again just in case, because I was still dealing with a few succubus type nightmares, not nightmares, but like dreams, and I still feel it like trying to have sex with me in my sleep, but I'm spiritually strong enough to the point where it doesn't affect me. I can just say no. You know what I'm saying? And I think it keeps me in check. To be honest, I think that's why it's still there. But sometimes God will put a thorn in your life, just to lift you up, not necessarily to take you down. And I think that's where I'm at. But we went to her house, and this is still scary to me. We went to her house, and we were having, or she let me sleep in her bed, because I was like, I was still like a little emotional. On the way over there to her house, it was only like 15, 25 minutes. It felt like forever. Like it felt like a long car ride. It was a long car ride, but it felt like a journey to somewhere. And this is when I don't know if you heard that, but I'm not sure what that was. But Holy Spirit, please protect me while I'm I'm making this story. I'm telling this story. But what you call it? It felt like a long car ride. Like it felt like a journey to somewhere. Which is, I want to touch back on me not believing in time and me not wanting to die while I get my testimony across, and while I experience the heaven and hell part, or hell and heaven, heaven and hell, however you want to say it. Because I experienced hell first, from my point of view, but it could have been the opposite, the way I experienced it, but I didn't want to remember me dying, or I didn't want to actually die, so I guess he gave me visions like to show what happened while I was passed out. And it was daytime when I did pass out, and it was nighttime when I woke up, so I don't know how long I was actually out for, to be honest, but I went to her house. I ended up going to sleep, going to sleep in her bed. And I woke up. She got up to go to the bathroom. And as she got up to go to the bathroom, I started screaming. And I started screaming like this wasn't a normal scream. This was like the most terror experience I have ever experienced in my entire life type of scream. Like, I want to curse to get across how crazy and the amount of torture I felt in that moment across, but it was the most horrific experience I had ever experienced in my entire life. Like, complete terror and a nightmare that I woke up from. Like, it felt like something tried to snatch my soul. Like, it was crazy. And God is my witness. Like, Jesus Christ protect me, because I have no clue what kind of demonic forces like are out there, and I know they're beyond my comprehension. So it was like terrifying. But I woke up screaming, and she calmed me down. She's like, "Hey, you're okay. You're okay." I think she prayed for me one more time. I'm not exactly sure. But I was scared out of my mind. I still felt scared, but I was calm, to the point where I could go back to sleep again. So she moved me to my brother's room. She's like, "You want to sleep with your brother?" I'm like, "Yeah," because I didn't want to stay in her room, because it just gave me PTSD of what I just woke up from. So I went to my brother's room. I went to sleep, and literally the same thing happened. Like, I wake up screaming. My brother's like, "Will, you're okay?" But I'm screaming out of my mind. He went to go get my mom as I'm screaming, and in the middle of that, I kind of stopped, and calm myself down a little bit, having like these intense panic attacks. Um, I didn't dream anything. Um, but when I woke up when I was in my mom's bed, all I don't remember the dream. I just remember seeing some type of entity at the end of my dream like reach out at me or something. It was I can't remember there was no face or visuals except for like a red and black maybe type of color, but I felt the presence. You don't For those of you that dream, you don't necessarily see things sometimes. Sometimes you just feel the presence of something and it creates visuals, and that's what was happening, I believe. And yeah, I woke up from the second dream screaming. I calmed myself down. After that, my mom's like, "All right, something's wrong with you. We're gonna take you to the hospital." She's like, "You want to go to the hospital?" I'm like, "Yeah," because I didn't know if I was laced. I didn't know what was happening. Um, so we went to the hospital. Um, they checked me. As I'm walking in the hospital, I had another panic attack, and I just start. I don't know what I think. I know for a fact I was probably demon possessed because there was no other reason for me to scream because I was getting the help I needed, and the only reason for me to scream was if it was a demon inside me screaming because I was getting the help I needed and it was trying to stop it. Um, as I was walking through the door, I just got this intense feeling of panic and like horrific, like terror. And I tried to run out while screaming. And then I tried to run back in. It was so weird. I wanted the help, but I don't think the demon inside of me wanted me to go. So it was like there was a doctor that I grabbed his hand, and as I grabbed his hand, I start screaming and I run towards the exit. But at the same time, my arm that was grabbing the doctor, I was pulling towards the doctor like I wanted to go with him because I know I needed help and I was trying to get there. So something in me, like I did not want to leave. I was trying to get help. But something was trying to drive me out of that hospital that day. And that's what scares me. That's the thing that turned me back to God. Like, well, that's one of the things, but I'm just glad Jesus was watching over me. So, um, yeah, I screamed. They ended up putting me in a wheelchair, or they brought a wheelchair out. I stopped screaming. They just sat me down in the wheelchair, and I felt like depleted. I'm pretty sure I looked the way I felt, but I felt like dead inside. Like I felt like I just kind of sat there with a really bad look on my face, looking like I was, I don't know, like like I just gave up type of look. I guess the demon gave up, and I was just kind of sitting in the wheelchair, and he wheeled me to a room where they put people, um, hooked me up to some IVs and stuff, or not IVs, but like stuff to monitor me, um, what you call it, and I don't know if they gave me like an anesthesia or something to knock me out so I wouldn't like freak out and I could actually get some rest or something. But yeah, I was knocked out. I remember going in and out of consciousness, and I woke up once and told the guy about a room full of red demons. Now, I think the demon or demons snatched that memory away from me on purpose because I didn't remember that for a good few weeks after I ended up, or like a month after I ended up leaving out the hospital. My mom told me about it, and I was like, I didn't remember it, but now that I keep really, reminiscing on the situation, I kind of remember it more. But I told the guy about a room full of red demons, and I don't remember anything else that I said. I just remember going in and out of consciousness, and it felt like it felt like I was going to be there for a very long time. Not eternity yet, but like it felt like a very long time. And I like, it felt like I was waiting. Like I was just in a waiting room for what felt like years. Like it didn't feel normal. It felt like I was there for at least, at the time it felt like I was there for like a year, bro, like months. Like it didn't feel right. It didn't feel normal. Um yeah, I was going in and out of consciousness. I'm like, okay, I can leave now, right? I'm ready to go. Like apparently I didn't even know this until they told me at the end when I was ready to go. They're like, yeah, man, you've been going in and out. It's been like 2 or 3 days, bro. Like this wasn't like, it felt overnight. At the same time, it felt like years, if that makes sense, or like months, a year, a couple months, whatever. It felt long but short at the same time. And um, he's like, yeah, you've been going in and out for 3 days or 2 or 3 days, bro. So I'm like, okay, do I get to leave now? Because I feel fine. Like I'm ready to get out and like skedaddle. You know what I'm saying? I'm sick of sitting in this hospital bed. Excuse me. But the guy's like, yeah, you can go ahead and get your stuff. Go downstairs. The officer's gonna, sign a few papers. The officer's gonna escort you out. I'm like, okay, bet. So I get downstairs. Um, the officer's like, okay, we're about to go. Had me sign a few papers. I didn't know what I was signing really. They just like, put your name here. Check voluntary or involuntary for your stay. I'm like, okay, bet. It was involuntary. Not knowing that I was signing papers for the mental hospital. That that's where they got me. I actually had no clue I was even going there. And they put me in a mental hospital because I was talking about seeing demons and stuff. So they assumed I was crazy instead of finding the real solution, which is, Jesus Christ. They ended up putting me in the mental hospital, and I think that's why a lot of people are stuck in mental hospitals today, is because they're dealing with demonic experience, supernatural experiences, and they're stuck. They don't know how to deal with them, and instead of giving them the real solution, we're shoving them in these mental hospitals and leaving a therapist up to a pastor's work. And I think that's where a lot of people are trapped, and it's really not fair. And I think that's what my situation has led me to shed light on, because I I don't want anyone to be stuck, especially in a mental hospital, where they don't even have control over when they leave and when they got in. Like, I went in completely on accident, and if I wasn't smart enough, or if I didn't have Jesus on my side or Jesus to save me, I would probably still be in that mental hospital, because I don't think they would have let me leave. I'm going to be honest. It's crazy, but a lot of people are stuck, and I just want them to get help. I want them to get out of there. I want them to get the help they need, because it's not healthy to live in that type of situation. That it was worse than some of these jails, bro. You see people in jails got cell phones, and they got TVs, and they got food and stuff. Yeah, we had food. Yeah, we got to talk to each other, but we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have computers. Only thing we had was a TV on the wall, and that, we got to watch some movies. But like, only thing that was other than that was the news. Like, we didn't get to go outside because apparently the playgrounds were quote unquote broken, even though they had been broken my whole stay there, which I only stayed there like a week and a half. But we didn't get to go outside, so I was in pretty much a hotel room, not hotel room, like a hotel floor with I couldn't leave. Like, I thought at one point, here, I'll we'll save that for the rest of the story. But yeah, I keep hearing weird noises. I'm in like a. Anyways, I'm gonna keep telling my story because I don't want to get distracted. Whatever trying to distract me, I hope you stop. And I pray that the Holy Spirit let me finish this properly. But what was it? Where was I? Where was I? Um, yeah, I get checked in. I meet the. I'm like, okay. He's like, all right. I'm like, do you, I signed the papers. I walk to the cop. I'm like, all right, you need my address or whatever. He's like, no, man, I'm taking you to Holly Hill. I'm like, Holly Hill, what's that? He's like, it's a mental hospital. I'm like, oh. Then it just hit me. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go to a mental hospital. All right, whatever. I guess I'll just go for a few days or whatever. They'll see I'm straight and I'm good to go home. You feel me? Like I wasn't showing any mental like signs or anything. I was just a normal person like doing my thing. I knew I oh crap! I just said the name of the hospital. I'm gonna have to bleep that out. You know what? No, that's fine. I said I stayed in North Carolina. That's fine. Um. Anyways, I went. Um. We did our thing. Um. He takes me to Holly Hill. Uh. I walk in there, do our thing. You need keys to get in, so even if I wanted to leave that place, there's no way I could have without it, like, literally prison heist, breaking out of there. So, like, and I'm on, like, the fifth floor, sixth floor, whatever. So, fourth floor, whatever. It was pretty high up. I think it was, like, the fourth floor. But, yeah, I get up there. I meet, the people in there, which half of them seem like pretty cool people. They just either got too much weed, they got laced, or they were trying like some PCP or something and ended up going psycho or some drugs or something. And, they had like maybe a couple like mentally challenged people, but they weren't like, they didn't belong in mental hospitals, if I'm being 100% honest. They just needed some help, like some people that actually understood their views of life and actually were willing to help them. I don't think anyone really belongs in a mental hospital. The mental hospital isn't really like, from my experience, a mental hospital isn't the place where you should send these people. These people need a caregiver that it actually cares about them. You feel me? So, yeah, I end up getting checked in there. They check my vitals, all this stuff. I end up talking to a therapist. I talked to some people. They prescribed me medication. That's the craziest thing. They give me the medication, and Holy Spirit. They end up taking me. I'm still trying to figure out how they gave me medication without knowing what I needed yet. They gave me medication like my first or second day there. Actually, no, I took something. I don't know what kind of medication it was. Maybe it was like some sleep medicine or something. Yeah, that's what they told me. They told me it was just to help me sleep. I'm pretty sure, if I can remember everything right. So I took that. I went to sleep, you know what I'm saying? I was having weird dreams, supernatural dreams. And I don't... I remember bits and pieces of my dreams. I'm not going to go into it because I don't know if I should share my dreams all the way. But also, I don't know what those dreams meant or if they were like from forces I don't need to talk about or whatever. But because I was in a very negative space, so I don't know if I was getting necessarily prophetic dreams at that time. I have seen prophetic dreams, but not, maybe they weren't from who I thought they were. So I won't speak on that. But first couple nights were cool. And then I think it was the third or fourth night or so. I can't exactly remember when, but I ended up no, I went to the therapist. He they ended up hypnotizing me, and I didn't even know they did it. I believe they did. That was a crazy thing. He's like, I remember walking in the room, and keep in mind, before I walked in the room, everyone else is getting turns in the room, but they're coming out the room talking crazy, doing some weird stuff. And I walk in the room. He's like, hey man, hey William, so how are you today? I'm like, I'm doing good. How are you? He's like, good, good. And then he's just silent, doesn't say anything. And he's like, all right, you can leave. I'm like, okay. I walk out the room, and that was it. And I walk in, I think he called us in the next day, or yeah, the next day. And he's like, so have you ever been hypnotized before? And I'm like, nope. He's like, okay. Asked me a few other questions, and then that was it. I walk out the room. That's all. And holy crap. Okay, now that I'm looking at it, he literally. Okay, so I got hypnotized, but my whole experience there is mixed up. So I don't know how long I was actually staying there. I don't know, like, okay, like my memories are bundled up in like different spaces. So, um, man, this is crazy, bro. So like, I got hypnotized, I'm pretty sure, but I don't remember anything. I just remember one day, wow, like I can't even put my finger on how this happened. But I just remember it seemed like separate experiences too. It was weird. It was like a 3-day event where like he came in and talked to us, but like in one part I was being like he didn't do anything. Another day he just asked me questions. And then on the third day I remember walking out of the office. First of all, I remember just waking up out of nothing, out of sitting in the room randomly. I don't even know how I got in the room. And my hands were on my head, and I was like my fingers were dug into my hair, and I was pulling out my hair apparently. And I'm like, what am I doing right now? And I'm crying at the same time. Like I had no clue what was happening. And I'm crying at the same time. And they're like, I'm like, what am I doing right now? They're like, you're pulling out your hair. And I'm like, oh. I said it just like that. I'm like, oh. Not sure how that happened. But I didn't say this, but I'm not sure how that happened. And I just stopped crying, put my hands back still, and walked out the room. Like, they're like, okay, you can go. I'm like, can I leave? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right. I walk out, you know what I'm saying? And, that was it. And, yeah, I remember, here. I remember I walked out the room. Sorry, I gotta move my chair around. I remember I walked out the room, and I wiped the tears off my face, and I just continued on. Well, actually, no. Yeah, I just continued on. I'm not sure what happened after that. I can't really remember. But I also remember walking out of the room another time, except this time I had a mask on, because we had to wear masks for some odd I'm not sure why we had to wear masks. That doesn't click with me anymore. But we had masks on, which didn't last long. Keep in mind, I really could have been like going crazy, or either whatever meds they gave me made me go crazy. I'm not sure. maybe they were trying to make me go crazy and keep me crazy. Maybe they hypnotized me to make me go crazy. I don't know what happened, but I felt fine beforehand. I just needed like to lay off weed and stuff. But um and seek Jesus, obviously. But what you call it? I remember I had a mask on. I couldn't talk. I felt like I couldn't talk, even though I could. Um, I can't remember if I asked for God then, but I remember I couldn't talk. I was trying to telepathically communicate with other people, and it felt like the universe was kind of like just working. Like it felt weird. It wasn't. It was like I couldn't talk. I wasn't allowed to talk. I felt like something bad was gonna happen if I talked. So I kept the mask on and didn't say anything. And then out of nowhere, I just was like, you know what? I'm sick of this, bro. Who said I can't talk again? Like what? Like what's going on? So I remember I was like hand signaling people, asking them for stuff, and then they're like, um, and then I just got tired of it. I'm like, hey, can I sit here? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, bet. And I just started talking. Like, I really don't know what happened there. I honestly think I got hypnotized and they tried to do something with me, but I can't be sure. Only God can judge them. I'm not sure if they tried to fix me, and I just my brain went haywire or what. So I can't necessarily say blame them or anything, but they definitely didn't ask for my permission to hypnotize me unless I signed their permission, signing into the hospital, which I can assume I did do that. So, um, that was the only crazy thing. Oh, when I first signed into the mental hospital, I remember playing chess with this one girl. And when I was playing chess, it felt like I got this sense of like everything in the universe was meant to happen like at this moment. Like everything was going according to plan. And we were playing chess and it was like I could tell what moves she was going to make and I could tell what moves I was going to make, and I already knew the outcome of the game before it happened. It was like everything was like in sync, if that makes sense. It was so hard to explain, but it just felt like everything made sense. I ended up saying or hearing a voice. It wasn't an audible voice yet, but it was like, if you win this game, you're gonna lose at life. Like something bad's gonna happen. So, excuse me. In the middle of that game, I ended up forfeiting, and we played a couple games. They either ended in ties, or I forfeited, and it was pretty wild, honestly. But yeah, that ended up happening. Um, After the whole therapist sessions, um, which I think was like 2 days, 3 days span when I first got there. That was my first like little 3 or 4 days staying there. I think it was the fourth day. Sorry, I'm shivering right now. It's cold. On the fourth day, I ended up having a panic attack at night. I went to sleep like literally terrified. I'm not sure why. It was like my childhood traumas came to light, I guess. And everything I was afraid of, or felt like I was afraid of, was happening in that moment. Like I felt like I was going down to hell, like I was going down an elevator. And it felt like the elevator was going down. Don't ask me why, but the knobs on Holly Hill, like if you've ever been in Holly Hill, the doors you have to, there's a down arrow on the doorbell, the doorknob, but it's not a knob. It's like a little stretch of metal that like you pull down to open. Very horrifying experience, by the way, being there. But it was terrifying, me going to sleep, but I managed to get to sleep anyway. I assume because of the medication. I get to sleep, and when I wake up, apparently I was saying some stuff in my sleep I know I was saying some stuff because my roommate was talking to me about it, but I didn't ask him what I said, and I really wish I would have asked him what I said, but he was like, but yeah, no, I'll continue that in a minute. But I woke up and I just remember screaming as loud as I could, like the terror screams I was getting at my mom's crib, but I was screaming with my hands on my ears and screaming, "Get out of my head, get out of my head, get out of my head," like over and over and over again. And then I slowly like stopped again, and the people, like the therapist, like all the people, not therapists, but the caregivers ran in there and they're like, "Hey, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay," like trying to calm me down. And I stopped and I ended up walking out. They ended up giving me some more medication. I think they gave me meds that night. They're like, "Yeah, here you go." That was, I think, the first night I got meds, and I was hesitant to take it because I don't like taking medication for any reason. But I took it, and yeah, that probably led more into my paranoia. But yeah, I walked out. They walked me out of my room. They had me sit down out there until I calmed down, and I remember this one lady was looking, she sat me down. I'm not sure what day this was, but this just randomly came back. I remember this one lady, she sat me down in the room and she was having a serious conversation with me, asking me some questions. I can't remember any of the questions she asked me, but she was staring at me dead in the eyes and didn't look away. And she was like, "William?" She's like, "Look at me, William." And I just looked at her, and I felt like this immense, like, fear gripped me for some reason. I don't know if she was like a demon in disguise or whatever. I'm not sure what that was, but that whole, like, encounter was crazy to me. I still can't make sense of it, so if any of you know what the heck is going on, please tell me. But, yeah, they walked me out of my room. They sit me down in the chair. I'm still terrified. It feels like I am, like, going crazy. It felt like I was literally in hell. Like, it felt like immense torment, but minus the heat. People are like, "Oh, you get like molten heat when you go down to hell," or whatever. This is why I don't think I was in hell at the mental hospital. I think God literally gave me like a taste of what it was like to be there and experience it without actually going. Or either I went and I just couldn't experience the same thing I experienced when I passed out on Earth, but like it felt like the most amount of terror I could ever experience in this human body. And I felt, as I'm sitting there, all I feel is despair, terror, and just sitting there in the middle of the room. It wasn't a room. It was more like I don't know if you've ever been to like a hospital where they have like a desk and like there's a long hallway and there's rooms in the hallway and there's like a little room, like a little lobby, and there's a TV in the lobby with some chairs. All the chairs are tucked away, but I'm just sitting there in the lobby, and there was one guy that was working there. Everyone had woke up. I woke up everyone with my screams, by the way. But sorry about that if any of you are watching this video. Not sure what was happening. But I was literally like just in despair, like in a sense of like fear and despair and just horrific like emotions. It felt really bad. And I remember feeling like it was literally gonna, like, everyone went back to their rooms, and I was literally alone with that one guy in there, and he was like typing on his computer or whatever, and I felt like I was gonna be there for a minute, and then all of a sudden, I mean, of course, now that I look back at it, all the people had to go for lunch or whatever, or go their shifts or whatever, but like, I'm sitting in the room, and I'm by myself, and no one's in the other rooms, or I didn't look because I didn't want to get up, but because I was in fear and dread and despair, and I'm sitting there staring at the clock, and it's like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning, in between that, and I didn't want to move. I felt like I was gonna be there for an eternity. Like, time literally felt non-existent. It felt like I wasn't gonna move. I was just sitting there, and it felt so bad. I came to terms with me being there forever. Like, it literally felt like I was never gonna leave this place. And this happened. I felt this feeling again in the daytime. Oh my God. Yeah, I got. Ooh, Holy Spirit. I got hypnotized for a fact. But I felt this feeling again in the daytime, even though I was surrounded by people. And then I walked away from the people to my room and looked out the window, and I felt like same exact feeling get over me. And like, the lady was cleaning the room. She looked like a demon to me, or someone I used to know. Like, I was apparently they diagnosed me with like schizophrenia and all types of stuff, but I don't see that. You know what I'm saying? Except when I was in the hospital. I guess I had like a light, whatever, and whatever they gave me like brought it out completely or whatever. I don't know how this stuff works. I wish I did know, so I need to do more research into that. But like, I felt like I was gonna be there for an eternity, and it was nothing but torture and despair and horrific events. So like, after I came to terms with it, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be here forever. I prayed to God. I'm like, hey, God, if you get me out of this situation, I will literally worship you for the rest of my life. Hands down. Like, I straight up prayed again for the first time in like forever. Not forever, but like first time in years. I'm like, God, please help me. And then after I prayed, I was like, God, if you get me out of this situation, I will believe in you. I understand, like, you exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was literally out of my mind, like crazy. I could have stayed crazy too. That's the crazy thing. And after I prayed, it was like almost instant. Time started moving again. It was like time existed again. It was crazy. It was like I would keep in mind I was staring at the clock that whole time, and it felt like the clock was not moving at all. Like, I believe only like 15 minutes had gone by, but it felt like hours. Like, it felt like I was there for so long, bro. Like, it felt like I was never gonna leave. It felt like garbage. Like, I don't wish that upon any human being, bro. Like, it was so bad. And I remember praying. The clock started moving again. Not physically, because it was always moving physically, but I didn't see it actually moving physically until I prayed. Like the hand was moving, but every time I looked back at the clock, it looked like it was in the same spot until I prayed. And I ended up praying, and time started moving. People came back in the people came. Keep in mind, it felt empty in there. Like, it felt like no soul was alive in that building. It felt crazy. And like, no noises, no nothing. It was just silence. And it just felt terrible. But I prayed. People came back. The caregivers came back in the room. Not immediately, but like maybe like 15 minutes passed by, 20 minutes, and they came back. I ended up telling myself, now I can see the time. I'm not going back to sleep. There's no way I'm going back to sleep. I'm terrified. So I ended up literally sitting there doing nothing, staring at the clock just about for literally like 3 or 4, 5 more hours until it was time to get up around, I think around 7 o'clock, and take meds again and do our thing. So I did that, took my medication, ate breakfast, and then went to sleep. And that was it. Like, I think that was like all of my experience. Well, not all of it, because I started healing. We talked to the like therapist, not the same therapist that hypnotized me, because I didn't like him. He always seemed like a dick anyway. I don't think he was a dick. He just didn't express his emotions because he assumed everyone he talked to was probably crazy a bit. But I don't blame him. But we ended up talking to an actual therapist, like a counselor, and he seemed like he just had like this angel type of presence to him. It was kind of nice. We were talking to him. He helped me out. We were talking about life situations and stuff like that. The actual help the only part that actually helped me throughout the whole experience, I want to say, just with a little bit of life lesson stuff, which is just pretty much easy stuff. We just needed someone to be there and actually show emotion, besides like the little bit that we were given. And they were nice people. But yeah, I met some cool people in there. I believe I still have one of the drawings from the mental hospital, which was pretty cool. Some girl gave it to me while I was in there. And yeah. Oh, I skipped a huge part. Another thing, it felt like, I think another girl got hypnotized, and it literally felt like, now that I look back at it, it felt like I was talking to the devil, but at the time, it didn't feel like that. Or it could have been a spiritual spouse. It didn't have to be the devil. Could have been a spiritual spouse or something. Maybe the demon that I connected myself with a long time ago. And I just remember being in terror there, like doing a bunch of stuff. Like, I think I was terrified at like literally everything at one point. Like, it literally felt like hell. What I would describe as hell, like just utter torment. Not like, I may have seemed cool on the inside or the outside, but I was literally being tortured on the inside. It was kind of crazy. But I remember picking up, there was like a pay phone or a little phone. It's like if I picked it up, something bad was going to happen. I ended up picking it up anyway because I needed to call my mom. Like, that was the only source of communication to our parents. And I needed to let my mom know I was okay. So I called her. We ended up talking. I know my parents probably could tell I wasn't in my right mind, but like, they don't know what actually was happening. So I did that. I ended up surviving through the week. I felt fine after like the last like 4 or 5 days. I felt like I was just waiting to leave at that point. But it felt like a learning experience. After I got out of the mental hospital, I just remember feeling as free as I had ever felt in my entire life. Like, literally, I just felt like you really don't know how good you have it until it's stripped completely away from you. It's crazy to think about. Like we don't know how good this life is until we can't do anything at all. Like, we honestly take life for granted, especially us in America, not realizing how third world countries have it, not realizing that, like, some places are literally, they don't even know if they're going to eat today, and we're over here buying fast food, like, over here getting DoorDash and stuff. Like, it's crazy. I try not to curse anymore, but I used to I used to curse a lot. That's why you hear me almost saying stuff. But I control myself pretty well. I think God has allowed me to do that. But I think I think pride is one of our biggest problems in the U.S. But moving on, I yeah, I got out the mental hospital. That wasn't the end of it, because don't think it's just an overnight thing. I was at the mental hospital for a week and a half, and honestly, I could have kept going without smoking, without drinking, without doing anything. But I got out the mental hospital. I got free. You know what I'm saying? And as soon as you get free, the first thing you want to do is smoke, obviously, or go back right back to what you were doing because you don't understand. But I ended up smoking again, but I was still on my medication, so I'm like, okay, I'll just smoke every now and then. I'm still on my medication. I'm straight. So I ended up smoking, um, doing my thing. And I'm taking the medication at the same time. Excuse me. And all of a sudden the terror was back. The nightmares were back. Um, it got worse and worse. The more, I want to say just the more I went on. I didn't know why, not knowing I was supposed to be studying religion, not knowing I was supposed to be hopping into God, but I'm doing these like meditation. Oh, I dropped my pen. That actually scared me a little bit. But I'm doing like these meditation stuff. That's how much terror I was in at that place, bro. Like any little trigger is kind of setting me up. I mean, I'm not scared anymore, but like reminiscing on it is kind of pretty freaky. Freaky. But it was getting to the point where I was having night terrors like every night, and this lasted for like a week. I was getting like little to no sleep. I felt like this presence in my room, like I was being haunted. And at the time, I'm into like peace, love, and stuff. Completely forgot about the prayer thing that I did at the mental hospital. Well, I was still praying, but I wasn't praying yet. I was just kind of living life. And I was listening to like meditation videos, like, oh, good vibes, good energies, you know what I'm saying, 432 hertz stuff. Which, not to say that stuff doesn't work, but we're going to say God created, I'm just going to say this right now based off what I've learned so far. God created everything for a reason, but there are rules and regulations to stuff. When you don't acknowledge God, you are open to demonic forces, period. I'm going to just say it like that. And so yeah, I'm doing this stuff thinking it's going to help me sleep better, and I'm still waking up with the meditation music and stuff on, the good energy, good vibe music on. I tried multiple videos and it's not working. I'm just waking up terrified, waking up with nightmares, waking up stuff. I'm not screaming, but I'm having like really bad nightmares, stuff like that. And yeah, but wait, okay, I gotta rewind. Before all of this happened, this is another reason why I want to say I think I was being guided by the Holy Spirit this whole time, where they essentially let me go, but I was on a leash to where I can only go but so far. So I used to talk to myself a lot, obviously, but I didn't know that I was talking to other entities other than myself without realizing it. I thought, all my thoughts are me, you know what I'm saying? So I had a hypothetical situation with myself where I would say, if I were to actually sell my soul, what would I sell my soul for? And my answer was everything, like literally everything, like everything in existence in itself, literally everything. And and it's and then I got another question in my head, like, okay, what would you what would you do with everything? Like, why would you do this? And I was like, or what would you do it for? And I'm like, or what would you do with it? And I was like, I give it to my mom. That was my answer. to myself, which honestly, now looking back at it, I was probably talking to a demon, the demon that was probably inside of me, trying to figure out the best way to take control of me. That was before. This was before the mental hospital, and I said I would give it to my mom, not because I necessarily wanted to, but because I knew it was. I wasn't doing it for me. I was doing it for everyone else. I wanted the world to be a better place, and I knew my mom knew how to take care of the world, because she knew how to take care of me. That was essentially my answer. Literally, just forgot about God, forgot about everything. And now my answer would probably be to give it back to God, but like, assuming you could take everything from God is kind of a crazy assessment anyway. But yeah, that happened, and then I guess I felt what it would probably feel like to sell your soul, essentially. First of all, you can't sell your soul because you don't even own your soul. God owns your soul. You can go look that up. It is a Bible verse. Like, you can't sell something that's not yours. That doesn't make sense. That's stealing. But your soul belongs to God originally, unless you decide to walk away from Him. And intentionally, I mean, you can walk away from Him without knowing, but like, if you ask Him, hey, I believe in Jesus Christ. I believe He died on the cross for my sins, and I want you to try to save me. He's going to try to save you. You can walk away from him intentionally, but the choice is yours ultimately. But yeah, I got out the mental hospital. I felt free as a bee, doing my thing, getting night terrors, smoking weed, thinking, nothing was wrong. And then I decided they prescribed me medication. I was taking the medication with my weed, and I thought that maybe that was what was doing it. So I stopped taking the medication, and the night terrors kind of stopped for a bit. And then I started smoking again. And then I believe the night terrors started back up again, and I was having like weird dreams and stuff. So I stopped smoking weed again. Well, I wasn't having I think it kind of blocked out some of my dreams too. So like, I just felt like a weird headspace that I needed to stop smoking weed. So I kind of took a break. It didn't last long. I kept smoking again. I believe my dreams were getting snatched from me, and the Holy Spirit was probably trying to communicate with me through my dreams and visions. My visions were right, but I wasn't listening to my visions because I didn't understand the intensity of what was actually going on, I assume. So I stopped the medication because I knew that's what was like bringing this stuff to light. I assume now that I look at it, it was probably what was bringing it to light, but essentially enhancing my spiritual connection while I was still messed up, like doing the wrong things. But I don't know what that medication was used for. I don't want to even find out, to be honest. It could be dragging me. It could be doing the exact same thing the weed was doing and just not covering up my dreams. I don't know. But I ended up, what happened was I was smoking. I was doing things good, and I just got another job, but I didn't have a way to work. I was still managing to get to work, and it was a good job. I'm not going to say what I was doing, but I will. I was cleaning pools at the time for apartments and stuff like that. And, I'm cleaning pools, doing my thing, still smoking weed. I made money, so the money wasn't enough, like a problem. I was still smoking. And my roommate came out of nowhere and was like, hey, landlord said we got to pay another month's rent or else we got to leave by like next week or something. Not sure what that was about. But I ended up, I was trying to pay it because, I could. It wasn't like I couldn't. I had a job. I was making the money. Wasn't doing anything wrong. But I talked to my mom. I'm like, hey, Mom, can I borrow this money? I don't get paid till Friday, and I kind of need the money by Friday. And she was like, why do you need the money? I told her the situation. She's like, yeah, this doesn't make sense. I'm not giving you the money if they're, it sounds like they're trying to hustle you, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, uh, all right. She's like, let me talk to him. She goes to talk to him. They end up getting in an argument. Um, yeah, some stuff happens, and they're like, all right, you need to leave. You got 2 weeks to get out. Get out. And I'm like, oh, all right. I guess I'm getting evicted now. Keep in mind, this is a no lease agreement. We're just kind of winging it under the landlord without her knowing. So I really wasn't in any say to do anything here, and kind of real buttholey for them to kick me out over my mom. But whatever, it didn't even give me a chance to pay rent. I'm like, okay, whatever. Um, I left. It was probably for the better because I ended up moving in with my aunt, which is where I stay now. I'm not gonna say where, still in NC. But yeah, that's my whole story pretty much. Um I started praying, by the way. Before like any of that happened, I started praying, started listening to actual like Bible stuff. And I think that's what got me out of the situation I was in. Is while I was working at that pool place, I started listening to like Bible uplifting stuff, like people like Isaiah Isaiah Salvador. I can't remember. I'm sorry. I know I'm butchering his name, but um I'm really bad with names. So what's his name? Jalen. Some other preachers. I'm not gonna go into it, but I'll give them their credit where needed. I'll put a whole I'll put a list to a playlist of the stuff that helped me in the description if any of you guys want to look at it. Um, that helped me along my journey. As soon as I woke up, I don't want to share any of the stuff I learned before then because, I don't know where that's going. But well, I do know where that's going. But yeah, I feel a lot more alive. I feel free. I feel like Jesus has saved me. Only thing left to do is read like the entire Bible front to back and actually apply it to my life. I've been applying the stuff I learned from like preachers and stuff like that. Keep in mind, recently, I won't say like recent, but when I moved out, I still dealt with demonic experiences until I fully started like applying the word and actually started praying, actually started listening to the gospel more. Like I was still mixing it in with meditation and stuff like that. And I thought that was good, but the demons weren't stopping until I actually started praying and asking God for help. Because that's when all the answers started rolling into me, was when I asked God. And he made everything so clear, so clear. Like it's literally like he planned this all from the beginning. Like I can't argue with anything. Like the truth is clearly in my eyes now, and I can see. So I'm thankful for that, and I thank him every day for that. I literally pray every day now. It's just amazing the way God does things. Like stuff we can't even comprehend, he's already thought of answers to. It's wild. He talks while you're talking to him. It's crazy. He answers while you're asking the question. But yeah, I communicate with the Holy Ghost as much as I can. I'm trying to strengthen myself every day. But I was still dealing with demonic experiences because I still had open windows. I still had open doors to demonic stuff in my life. So that's why it was still continuing. I understand that now. And I hope anyone that's listening can understand and seek help. It doesn't even take help. It takes you applying the word and listening to the word. That's it. And I want to tell you, you can't sell your soul. God owns your soul. You just have to believe in him and have faith in him. Also, um, I lost my train of thought. Holy Spirit, please. It was really important. It was really nice too. Um, um, yeah, just apply the word, and you will get the help you need. Um, I'm trying to remember what I was gonna say. I'll probably end up discussing it later with you guys if this gets enough like attention. But anything that I say, I'm pretty sure is in the stuff I learned in the playlist I list below. But yeah, the playlist is on my main channel that has like my AMVs and stuff on it. If you want to look at a couple of those, I delisted some of them, but like it's still art at the end of the day if you want to look at it. But at the same time, the music choice isn't really the best. So I don't blame you if you don't touch it. Um, Anything else? I was still dealing with the stuff because I had open windows, I had open doors. Um, oh, another thing, the voices actually did start to manifest at the mental hospital. Like I heard my name a couple times. It was kind of crazy. Um, it never got to a point where it was terrifying though. It was more just like, what was that? Like, you know what I'm saying? I heard like little whispers. I'm not sure if one time I heard a whisper, but I wasn't sure if the therapist was doing it under his mask and just playing with me, trying to keep me in the mental hospital or not. But if he ever looks at this video, I need you to tell the truth and tell me if you were like messing with me or not. Because if not, that was definitely a spiritual encounter. But if not, if you were, then I mean I'll let God judge you on that one. But um, yeah, I don't smoke weed anymore because they won't allow it in the house. And I found that when I smoke weed, also my spiritual levels go down to the sense of like I can feel the judgment of God now when I make decisions. So I can tell what's right from wrong clearly. My moral compass is on track. Um, I could tell I needed to stop smoking weed, even though I thought weed was a good drug. Up until the point I quit because of my faith in God is when he showed me the Bible verse that said, it doesn't necessarily say weed is bad, and this is another thing. It says that, you know, every tree of the land is good for you to eat, but at the same time, you wouldn't eat a poisonous mushroom. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, sure, every tree is good to eat, but God also knows there's a time and a place and a position for every situation. And this isn't the time and place or point in my life where I need to be smoking weed for me right now. And plus, you know, my aunt and my uncle didn't allow that in their house anyway, so it was probably best I put it down. I stopped vaping. I used to do nicotine vapes. I stopped doing that. I'm drug free in general. I might drink every now and then, or I say that, but I haven't touched alcohol, or like maybe like light wine. I might have a shot, but I don't get drunk. I get maybe a little tipsy, but I still have cognitive thinking. I still have I'm still sober minded, and I think that's you know that's in the Bible too. Always be sober minded, and I can never really get too drunk, to be honest. I mean, I've tried a couple times and I just end up throwing up my brains out, but never again. Never that. I always stay sober minded anyway, because I have a pretty good sense of myself. But I pray every day now. I turned back to God. I broke all my addictions. Like I went from smoking weed every single day and beating my meat every single day. Sorry if that's a trigger word for some of y'all, but I used to do that. I don't even think about it anymore. Or I still have random thoughts. That's why I think I do have a a spiritual spouse may be still attached to me, and I'm trying to get delivered. But it's I control myself. Like, I'm good. I don't have wet dreams anymore. Um, I realized I can't do everything alone, and that God has always been there for me. Uh, that's another thing I used to struggle with, is I used to think I could do everything by myself, and I used to think like I don't need help. Not necessarily, just pride being in the way of everything. Like, I literally thought, like, if I can't do it by myself, like, what good am I? You know what I'm saying? And you can't do everything alone, bro. Like, everyone has to realize that. Even you may think you're the most powerful person ever, but you can't do everything alone. And even if you were, you could do everything alone. Like, bro, you can't save yourself from hell alone. If you exist now, there's people that have existed before you, and they definitely are stronger than you, bro. Like, when they say Jesus is the only way, he is literally the only thing saving you. Like, if you can't think about it any other way, think about it this way, bro. In like video games, there's always someone that started before you. Even the creators of the game started before you, and you can't expect to be better than everybody, bro. Especially God. You can't expect to be better than God. And if God has an opponent right now, you expect to be better than him. Like, what? It's crazy. But I'm not. I forgot where I was going with that. But you can't do everything alone. There's always going to be someone on top. There's always going to be someone above you. Especially some of your enemies. I mean, God can help you reach your fullest potential. But yeah, that's my testimony. Yeah, I walk in faith now. It feels like I'm in. I don't want to say heaven, but because I'm on earth, but that's what it feels like. I feel good. Like, I feel safe. Um, yeah, and it's crazy because no matter how hard I tried during this whole experience of life, I've always been a good person at heart. I've never tried to do anyone wrong, but I always looked like the villain when I didn't have God in my life. That's all I want to say. Um, I've always had a roof over my head. I've always had clothes, house. Except when I didn't have God, I felt like I was in jeopardy of losing those things. And now I'm okay again. Like, this was literally me floating in the wind for a good couple of years of my life, and it was not going to end well. So, yeah, that's all I really wanted to share. I encourage you to look at the videos in the description. Oh, another thing is, when I got out of the mental hospital, we had a cookout with my friends and stuff. I felt dead inside. Like, it felt like almost like I was watching my own funeral, but I was there. Like, it was like so hard to explain. Everyone acknowledged me. They're like, "Hey, what's up?" You know what I'm saying? We're doing our thing. It was a cookout for me, but like, because I got out the hospital, and we're just talking about how we're thankful about having everyone. But I did not feel like I was there. I felt like I was somewhere else. Like, my mind was somewhere else. And in the middle of that, a voice from what I assume was God or the Holy Spirit was like, "Yeah, and this is just a little taste of what it's like to be me." And that's will stick with me for probably the rest of my life. But yeah, thank you for watching this video. Hopefully you learned something. You know what I'm saying? That's my goal, to teach you. Hope you guys enjoyed my testimony. I won't say my name once again. Maybe later you'll find out who I am. You get my channels, a few of my channels. But thank you. I was not expecting this video to be 2 hours. You guys have a blessed day. Guys and girls, have a blessed day. I love you all. Um, Glory be to God.